was not a good place. I tried not to be at home as much as possible. My dad was a big alcoholic, so there was a lot of like physical beatings and that type of thing. Yeah, and I found myself doing exactly the same thing that my dad had done to me. I wasn't a model husband, I wasn't a model father when my kid was born. There's not a single function I didn't mess up. I had 2 interventions where they were taking my kids away, and I still chose booze over my kids. It's a hard thing for me to accept as a dad. My kids came in and they said, "Dad, we've lost one parent, we don't want to lose another one." And Belle came in and she said to me, like, I didn't sign up for this. Either you sort your cack out or I'm out of here. And I packed a bag and I went to rehab. Do I want to drink? Of course I want to drink. I'd love to smash it. I'd love to have a beer here with you right now. Do I miss it? Yes. Can I do it? No, I can't.
What does your family mean to you now? And what do you want your legacy to be in their eyes? Rich Laskey, welcome to the Brew Room.
Cam Cleaver, thank you for having me, dude. Really cool to be here.
Only a pleasure. So, I mean, we've known each other for a little while now, mainly from sort of modern athlete, so your thing, and then from our sort of competitions and stuff like that. I don't know if you just want to start off by telling us a little bit about who you are, what you do.
So Rich, so obviously we've got Modern Athlete, we've also got ABR, so ABR is a car magazine, automotive business review, and then we've also got Efficiency Staffing Solutions, so that's a labor, HR, payroll solution that we have. So involved in most of the sports, create digital magazines for events, so very involved in the sporting industry, marketing of most of the big brands and events, that type of stuff.
And then delving right back, childhood, growing up, you are a Joburg boy.
Joburg boy, born in Joburg, raised up in Daleside at first, Henley on Klip, don't judge. Then went to Rivonia Primary, then Bedfordview Primary, and then headed off to high school at Jeppe. Didn't quite finish at Jeppe.
Tell us about that.
Apparently my entrepreneurship skills were frowned upon just before the end of Standard 8. So that was that was the end of that. I ended up going to St. Benedict's after that. So I finished 9 and 10 was at St. Benedict's.
Awesome. And where did your passion for athletics come from? What sports were you playing at school?
I played everything as much as possible. So growing up was a bit of fun. It was a little bit of a dodgy background. Dad was a bit of a misbehaved sausage and a bit of beatings and a little bit of home wasn't fun. Put it that way. Home was not a good place. So I tried to stay. I tried not to be at home as much as possible. So whatever sport I could play, I tried. I wasn't very good. Like I didn't try chess or anything. I still actually don't even know how to play chess. But I played as much sport as possible. So everything, whatever sport was around, I played.
And then you said home was a little bit sort of tough. Was it your way of kind of acting out?
I think so. Look, my dad was a big alcoholic. So there was a lot of like physical beatings and that type of thing. So I wasn't probably wasn't the perfect child. So I'm not going to try and pretend that I was great. So I was naughty and I did a lot of wrong things and I got involved with the wrong stuff and started drinking at a very young age and wasn't. I was pretty much a misbehaved reprobate. Which I think I got the alcoholic genes and got into some bad stuff and it's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess.
I think they often say, if your parents are an alcoholic, you either go one of two ways. You don't kind of sit in the middle.
Yeah.
You either don't drink at all.
Yeah.
Or you become an alcoholic yourself. You went down that abuse sort of direction. What made you change? How did you come out of that?
Look, I think it's obviously I'm from the days when I finished school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, so went to the army. It was the days that obviously conscription was still around, so if you didn't have I didn't get a varsity entrance in the first place. I went to the army. I was 17 when I got into the army. So I did PTR course there, and I think that's where sort of more the the endurance and the testing of abilities and the mindset came in, because obviously PDI course is just 6 weeks of pretty much an opfok, and they try and break you as much as possible. I thrived on that. It was just the fact that, it doesn't matter what you do. I've been through a lot worse. So I think that's where the sort of endurance and the tenacity and the mindset came in, where, it doesn't matter what you're going to do. I'm going to keep standing up. And I think that's sort of something which, after, living the life that I led, and obviously then I went to hotel school after that, and I carried on the misbehaving, and I met my missus, and we got married, and I carried on misbehaving. I wasn't a model husband. I wasn't a model father when my kid was born, when Tanika was first born. So by no stretch was I the model sort of person, father figure or anything else like that. So I was. My missus said I had to go to AA, and so I went for 7 years to AA while she was still alive. And it was more going just for everybody else, just to tick the box. So I had no intention of stopping whatsoever. Just carried on being like there's not a single function I didn't mess up, not a single, there's every picture that you'll see, a baby shower, wedding, first birthday, I'll bugger them all up. So I was really a bad husband, bad father, bad everything. I all of the above. So I think it's, and through all of that, I was obviously doing business and trying to be a normal person, but misbehaving at the same time and not being a model example to anybody around me.
So talk us through, alcohol can mean different things to different people.
Yeah.
Were you hiding behind it, or was it just something that you've got an addictive personality?
Yes, I think both, definitely both. It's easier to make excuses and to use it as an excuse, but it was, so easier to use it as an excuse, but the other thing is definitely hiding from trying to mask it. Definitely masking what was going on internally, not being able to get it all out. So I think that's also why I do a lot of the endurance stuff. It's pushing boundaries, pushing limits, getting to that hurt locker and pushing past that. So I think that played a big role in it, and still to this day, it's I love pushing the boundaries and going to places where you think you're going to quit and you don't. You just keep pushing through. So I think a lot of that stems from the early childhood and not wanting to give up. Just now it's a little bit different. Obviously, it's I've been sober for 6.5 years. So I've been clean 6.5 years. So it's hard because it's I had my aunt's 80th yesterday, and they gave me a non-alcoholic, and it was like. So I had a sip, and it's like, it's not the same. It's I enjoyed the taste of beer, but you also there's a reason you drank, was to forget about things and to obviously mask the pain, that type of stuff.
Do you think they often talk about people trading one addiction for another? Did you, when you were ready to do it, did you change, let's say, that abusive, addictive personality for sports, and endurance sports specifically?
Yeah, so look, I think it's so I'd always done the sports. I'd always done the endurance stuff. So I did compete pretty on a high level growing up. So I was used to that, and I was used to the hard training. So that didn't change. But I think what did change is I'd never been in the gym, never. So COVID actually was when I discovered there was nothing else to do. So you're in the garage, just doing gym. I think that was where I first got into that. I really enjoyed that, and that's something which I hadn't done before. So I'm still enjoying it. I'm still trying to push myself past stuff that are still useless. Like I can't, like a 10-year-old girl pushes more chest press than I do. So it's like it's pushing those boundaries. It's finding new things. Running comrades, doing other stuff like that. That's like you've done it. I'll keep doing it every year, but it's still a challenge. Make no mistake, it's still a challenge. I'm not saying it's not a challenge, but it's you've been there, done that. The other stuff I haven't done, so I'm really enjoying that side of things.
I like how you just say just run comrades, but you don't just run comrades. You run in a cow suit.
Yeah, so we obviously the cows is an integral part of our DNA. We started it 18 years ago when a friend of ours, their daughter passed away 22 months from neuroblastoma. So Kieran and Grant had got involved with Choc, and then they were mates with another friend, and I'd always done races for charity, different charities, so like Starfish or SPCA. So I'd done comrades in a dog suit for SPCA, and I'd done it twice on an ice cream ride Joburg on an ice cream bike for Starfish and for SPCA. So I'd always done races for charity. So mates got a hold of me and said, look, we want to raise some money for this for Choc. What do we do? So it was obviously the drinking days. We got together, had far too much to drink, and decided, cool, we're gonna do this thing. We're gonna ride 947, as it was still called back then. So we had 9 days to do it. And it's quite a funny story, because obviously you can just understand now how inebriated we were, because we said to no, you're gonna go to the hiring shop and you're gonna find rooster suits. And we hadn't quite thought this through. So we were like, a bunch of big cocks raising money. But we hadn't quite thought about that versus the children's charities. So thank goodness he couldn't find 6 rooster suits. He found 6 cow suits. And that's literally how the cows were born, because the only thing he could find was 6 cow suits. So that was where the cows were born. So it was 18 years ago. We've raised, so we've all got normal jobs, normal businesses. And same group of guys are there. We're actually having a dinner tonight with some of them. And we've raised 60 million since we started. Wow. So, nice having some mates make a bit of a difference.
A lot of people suffer in comrades, chafe, all sorts of things. How the hell do you do it in a cow suit? And the heat?
So, obviously the heat's pretty significant. And people say to you, why don't you make it breathable, make it nice and easy? And it's a really simple thing. When a kid's going through chemo and 18 months old, 3 years old, you try and explain to the kid why you're putting another needle in the kid's arm, or, they've got no more veins left because of all the chemo. They're putting a port in. And that kid goes through unbelievable, unbearable pain for X amount of time. Some of them don't make it. I've got to suck it up for, 12 hours out on the road. It's not supposed to be easy because it's not easy for them. So why should it be easy for us? So it's a really, that's the simple truth behind it, is that it shouldn't be easy. We need to suffer, because our suffering is over at the end of that race. Their suffering isn't. Yeah. So it's kind of, to make it worthwhile, anything that you do shouldn't be easy. It really shouldn't. You can like it, but it shouldn't be easy, because if it's easy, everyone's going to do it.
So we saw you recently, May and I were racing, and we saw you recently on the High Rocks race. Yeah. You're easy to spot. Can't remember the cow suit came past us, or we went past a cow suit.
I think you definitely came past us.
I think a bit of both. So tell us about who you raced with and why, and do you just kind of, sounds like you did it on a bit of a whim?
Yeah, so Erin, she's probably one of my most favorite people. Erin Lazarus. She's just such an incredible chick. She lost her leg 3 years ago to lupus. And she just has this incredible spirit. Just nothing's too much for her. Nothing's, she's honestly untouchable. She just has the most amazing demeanor about her. So I said to her, look, this is a thing. I want to do this with you. And obviously, so we did it in the normal class, not a adaptive athlete. So we had to go and do everything like the normal guys do, like you guys did. So that was what we did yesterday. It was an incredible time being out there with her, just having her vibe, everything that she stands for, everything she believes for. She's an incredible human spirit.
Just jumping back to when you said, you went to AA.
Yeah.
You went for 7 years. You're checking boxes for everyone else. And you're carrying on as is. What made you change?
Cam, it was many years later. It was 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. And it was an innocuous thing. I'd played football 2 weeks before, and I'd cracked some ribs playing football. As you know, there's nothing you can do. And then, excuse me, we were actually away on holiday in December, and I fell down a flight of stairs. I just met Isabel a couple of weeks before that, and I was with her best mate. And Isabel went home, and we stayed out, me and her mate, and we fell down a flight of stairs. And I knew it was the ribs, but then a week later I couldn't breathe. We were still in Belito, and they booked me into Belito Hospital for pneumonia. They said I had pneumonia, so for a week they had me in there. And a week later I had to get back to Joburg because obviously kids were starting school. But my temp wouldn't come down, and I was like, geez, but I couldn't, honestly, I couldn't breathe. It sounded like I was gurgling. So they booked me into hospital, and then they did some x-rays, MRIs, and CAT scans. And what had happened is my ribs had fractured, that punctured my lungs had filled up with fluid, and I had 87% septicemia. My lungs were filled with septicemia. So I had 13% capacity of lungs. So I was literally gurgling.
Dying.
Yeah, properly dying. So the week in hospital they'd misdiagnosed me. So I was in ICU for a month. And they put 2 drains in my back with 5-liter bottles, getting all the gunk out. And then they cut 4 centimeters of lining off the inside of my lungs. So that they said that's not repairable, can't grow back. So I struggle immensely with breathing. So I used to sit with a heart rate between 32, 34. So now that's, as soon as I start anything, like yesterday, my heart rate rockets to 184 as soon as I start. So over the years, I've become used to just getting used to it and operating at a much higher heart rate. But I spent a month in ICU, and then my kids came in and they said, Dad, we've lost one parent. We don't want to lose another one. And Belle came in and she said to me, like, I didn't sign up for this shit. Yeah. So either you sort your caca out or I'm out of here. And that was it. It was a defining moment with my kids and her saying that. And so I'd been in hospital for a month, came out, I was out for a couple of days, and I packed a bag and I went to rehab. And that was my mind done. It wasn't a case of, do I want to drink? Of course I want to drink. I'd love to smash it. I'd love to have a beer here with you right now. Do I miss it? Yes. Can I do it? No, I can't. So I don't have an off switch. It's like 1 is too many and 10,000 is too few. That's the way it is. So it was a switch that flipped, and I knew that I had to do it to get my mind right. And the thing about rehab is, rehab probably doesn't work for 95% of the people because they don't want to be there.
Yeah.
They're forced to be there. They're on a court order or an intervention or stuff like that. And to put it in perspective as to how bad I was, I had 2 interventions where they were taking my kids away, and I still chose booze over my kids. And it's an embarrassing thing, and it's a hard thing for me to accept as a dad that I did that to them. And funny enough, actually, I came across a letter that my daughter wrote. So it's about 5 or 6 years ago, and I'd been clean for 332 days, and she'd written me this letter, and it's emotional because it's like really cool to see. It's really cool and it's really sad. So it's cool to see how far you had come, which was it was maybe just over a year I'd been sober, but also so bad to realize that that's what you put them through. My kids and everybody like, oh, you're such a good parent. You're like unbelievable. You're there for your kids. My girls were 8, 6, and 2 when my wife passed away. And I'd pick them up from school every day drunk, and I would go home and I would do lunch boxes. I'd make dinner. I'd do homework.
So functioning alcoholic.
And I'll put them to bed, and then I'd go out.
Yeah.
And I'd get home at 5 in the morning, and my eldest would be there at the bottom of the stairs. Dad, is this the time to come home? So my eldest didn't have a childhood growing up, which is like so backwards because I didn't have one either. So like, seriously, did you not want to break the cycle?
Yeah.
And I found myself doing exactly the same thing that my dad had done to me. So you'd swear that you'd learn and think about it. So better late than never. So now I have a really cool relationship with the girls. We're very close. So blessed in that thing, and it's. Like we said earlier, you're exactly where you're meant to be right here, right now. All of that stuff happened for a reason. I think what I do with some of the other stuff. So like with the I've got you, so that's mental addiction, suicide, depression, mental anxiety, boys' health. So it's okay to not be okay. So that's a thing where guys send me a word, guys, girls, doesn't matter. Send me a word every day. We manifest that word. So I have, I actually couldn't tell you how many people I have that do that, but it's a daily check-in, and it's just making sure they're okay. And if they're not okay, we have a call, and so that's the I've got you. And then I've got another one called Dads, which is Dads Assisting Dads. So that's guys who've lost their partners, lost their husbands, lost their wives, whatever it may be. And, came home, kid had a bad report, used to bounce it off my person's no longer here. What I do? And then you'll say, hey, I tried this, cuckest idea ever, don't do that, rather try this. So we bounce things off each other, and that's literally all it is. It's just guys helping guys who've going through tough times.
It's a great thing. I mean, I remember before May and I got together, for a very long time, I was mom and dad.
Yeah.
And, as males, we're not used to trying to have the soft side. So, I think with children, they always need mom and dad, and that's under a roof.
Yeah.
It's a very important thing. Getting back to your Ford, do you think that saved your life?
100%. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I would never, I was going one way and it would have ended ugly. Without a doubt. And luckily, in all of that time, I didn't do anything with the girls because that should have happened. There's too many times where things could have gone horribly wrong, and they didn't. So someone was looking out for me. I'm not a religious person by any stretch, but there's definitely something bigger out there than me. And I think there was a bigger purpose, and I think that's. It's come around now. Obviously, you're giving back and you're trying to help and you're trying to do whatever you possibly can in whatever capacity you have. So I think that's like the fundamentals for me, is just it doesn't matter what religion you are, the basic principles of any religion is just be a kind human.
Yeah.
Be kind to others. That's literally all it is. Doesn't matter what you believe in. So if you can practice that, and that's what I try and do and try and instill in the kiddos. And also in work and ethics in work is just to have that sort of mindset. If you do the right thing, the rest follows, and the rest is going to happen. So it might not happen today, but it's going to happen eventually. And that's just the basics that we try and work on.
And family life now, how are the daughters? How's Isabel?
Yeah, daughters are good, eh? Just the eldest one just bought her own house with her boyfriend, so that's quite incredible. It was a proud moment. So they actually moved out last week. The other one's, she's going to do honours next year. The other one's going into third year law. Then the one's going into matric next year. And then our youngster, he's going to Jeppy Boys next year. So
Nice.
quite excited.
Makes it past standard 8.
Yeah, exactly. That's quite funny because we've got a little project there called Project Izwe, which means the voice in Zulu. So it's teaching the boys it's okay to not be okay. And I do a lot of school talks, motivational talks, teaching boys like it's okay to not be okay. And I said to the headmaster, it's like the most ironic thing when you're expelled and then you get told to come back and try and teach advice. It's like, are you sure you want me to do this?
It's a full circle moment, but like one you didn't expect.
Exactly. Are you sure you want me to do this? So I'm hoping he finishes matric at Jeppy.
And are they all quite sporty? Do they enjoy their sport?
So my eldest, absolutely clueless. So she works for us, so she runs all our socials. Not a big sport at all. My middle one, she rode for SA, so she made SA rowing, schools rowing, but it's a swear word in our house, so we don't talk about rowing anymore. It's
Does she row better than Dad?
Dad didn't ever row. Dad didn't row. Dad did a lot of paddling, so a lot of berg and fish and doozy, that sort of stuff. So I love my paddling. Never rowed. But so it's a swear word in our house because it happened. She was chosen for the SA rowing school side to go to the UK. And they were leaving on the 4th of April and COVID happened 27th of March.
Oh, my gosh.
And the only reason she got into rowing because she had a breakup in friends in school. So she said, Dad, I'm going to stop netball. I'm going to go to rowing. So she went to rowing to make China's and then, realized that she was pretty talented and then smashed everything. And then COVID happened and she was rowing and had to submit her times 3 times a day to the SA's coach. And she walked in from the garage the one afternoon. She said, "Fuck it, I'm done, Dad. I'm not doing this anymore." So, "What do you mean you're not doing this?" We're getting like schools in America phoning us for scholarships and stuff. She's like, "No, I'm out." She said, I did this to make friends." She said, "I'm sitting in the garage on my own. Like, this is cuck."
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was the last time we spoke about rowing.
I think sometimes we forget kids do sport for very different reasons.
Yeah.
As a parent, I had a father that pushed me incredibly hard with sports. And when he passed, I gave up everything. I wasn't doing anything I wanted to do. So I think it's quite important. We talked earlier about breaking cycles. It was, you obviously followed your dad's footsteps, but then broke the cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, is that the biggest thing you want to pass on to your kids?
I think if I could pass anything on, it's just, I would love for my kids to turn around and say, if I was given a choice, I would choose that dude as my dad again.
Yeah.
That would answer everything. If they could say, I would choose him to be my dad, then I've done a good job. No matter what's happened in the past, it's not a problem. It's just, I think that would be the icing on the cake if that's what they would do.
And Rich, do you ever worry? Recovery is not a straight line. Do you ever worry about the temptation, the relapse, anything like that?
100%. So Ben Affleck does an incredible podcast, and he talks about, can you name me any player, any team that's gone 1,000 games undefeated? Nobody.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nobody, no team, no top guy anywhere in the world that's ever gone 1,000 games undefeated. And that's what an addict is. So an addict is going to go 1,000 days undefeated. And that 1,001st day that they take a hit, have a drink, do whatever,
back to square one.
they're back to square one.
Yeah.
So for the rest of your life, any addict, doesn't matter what
it's
you are.
It's a fight every day.
And sometimes it's just for that hour. And if that's how hard it is, just for that minute. And I think it's, it's, and again, I always talk to my kids about this. It's, you sit there and you look at everybody else and you look at social media, and it's like such a crock of shit because there's such farcical stuff going on. I mean, we know we speak about it with influencers and that type of stuff. And are you really living the brands that you're featuring, and are you really living that life? How much of it is real? How much of it is honest? The suffering is a massive part of what you've got to go through. You need to go through bad times. You need to, everybody portrays this incredible thing about Facebook, and it's like, this is how fantastic my life is, and I'm in the Maldives, and I'm cut and ripped, and I've got this wonderful lifestyle.
Highlights package.
It's like, and none of that shit's real. But the problem is that's what we didn't grow up with it with social media and cell phones and all of that type of thing. So it's much harder for the youth of today. It's way more difficult than it was for us. I mean, like, you're on your bicycle, your parents didn't check you until the street lights came on. That was the rule. So I think it is a lot harder for them now. Do I regret any of it? Absolutely not. I don't regret anything because, again, it brings you to where you are right here, right now, and you're only now able to give the advice that you're able to give. And I think it's something where I always go by this thing that, so two things. Bob Marley's like my hero. So open your eyes, look within. Are you satisfied with the life you're living? So I have those lyrics from Exodus tattooed on my chest. And if you've had a bad day and you look at yourself in the mirror, have you done your best today? If you haven't done your best today, you got another chance tomorrow. A lot of people didn't open up their eyes this morning. So we did open up our eyes. What have we done with today? Have we operated to the best of our abilities? If we haven't, can we fix it tomorrow? That's the thing. And it's, I always have a thing where I say, like, that caterpillar that's cruising along the ground. You got like 1,000,000 legs, and you look up, everything else around you looks so lacquer, and it's like, geez, I'm this ugly caterpillar. It's like flipping, I'm getting nowhere in life. I'm going so slow. But the longer time that you spend being that caterpillar on the ground, the more fucking magical the moment is when you become the butterfly.
Yeah.
And I think doesn't matter how hard your times are right now, things are going to change, and they are going, it's so cliched, but they will change, and you need to allow them to change because it's going to change in the time that it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And I think if I try and instill that into the kids and instill that into staff that you work with, clients, that sort of thing, that's all you try and do. And just walk a path with everybody, and eventually that magical butterfly moment's going to happen.
Do you think a lot of people block that moment or sidestep it or choose not to go that path?
I think, again, because of social media, people want that moment too soon. People want to replicate those things, and they want to live a life that isn't theirs. And I think that's a big problem, is that, you know, people are not authentic anymore, and they're too scared to say the wrong thing. Like, I think, you know, dude, I don't give a shit if I piss people off. I really don't. It's not, if you don't like me, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I don't sleep as it is. So it's really not a big thing in my life. I think if you're authentic and you're honest, that's more important than anything else.
Yeah.
It's not, again, you know, social media is a bad influence on that sort of stuff, because it's really not, it's not real and it's not honest.
I'm a people pleaser by nature, which is incredibly frustrating.
Nah, you.
I struggle, Rich. I promise you. I don't sleep as is for a multitude of reasons. But, you know, being a people pleaser is very difficult because you can't please everybody.
No, dude, you're not chocolates. No. You're not a packet of chuckles. You're never going to make everyone happy.
I try. But yeah, it's, you know, people pleasing is difficult. You know, I'm starting to learn, you know, like you said, you can't make everyone happy. You can't lose sleep over it. But unfortunately, people are very judgmental.
Yeah.
We spoke about it a little bit earlier, but I think there's a massive difference between having influence and being an influencer. I'd love to live in a world where more people had influence. People who are authentic, that actually are significant, that have something real to say, something decent to say. You know, tell a story. I'm loving hearing your story. I know a bit of your story, but I'm getting far more insight into exactly where it comes from. And then you can actually understand things a lot better, because I'm pretty sure listening right now, there's hundreds, if not thousands of people just locally in South Africa that are going through exactly where you were. But how do you break that cycle? What advice would you give to an alcoholic right now? And being very difficult, because being an alcoholic, it's a sickness. I think if you've been an alcoholic, you can understand it a lot more. We can try, if we haven't been an alcoholic before, empathize with it, but we don't know what you're going through.
You know, and it's a very interesting thing, because what people don't realize is if you had cancer, I couldn't be angry with you because you're sick.
Yeah.
Alcoholism is exactly that. Alcohol is a disease, and people don't realize that.
Yeah.
So people you want to grab them and shake them and like, what the hell's wrong with you? But until such time as that moment's click that you want to make that decision on your own, whatever anybody else around you is going to say is never going to change it. You've got to be able to be the one to stop it. And that goes for any addiction. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, eating anonymous is, you know, bulimia, anorexia, that type of thing. It's just as severe. It's still a sickness.
Yeah.
So you're not going to shake a cancer victim or a leukemia or a, you know, whatever disease, MLS. You're not going to shake that person because it's wrong. But the same thing is an addiction, an addictive personality is a disease.
Yeah.
So advice, the strongest thing and bravest thing you're ever going to do is put your hand up and ask for help.
Yeah.
That's the bravest thing you'll ever do.
But you got to want to do it.
You've got to want to do it. You've got to, it's a very humbling experience. It's very humbling, but you also, you meet the most incredible people when they've gone through that, they've gone through the addiction and they've gone through the pain and the suffering, and they've realized the damage that they've done to others. And the thing about, you know, like the 12 steps has been used since 1934. It was written, and it was written for Alcoholics Anonymous, but it's used across any of the addictions. And it's an amazing thing because, you know, people go, oh, I was in rehab for 30 days. I did the 12 steps. So I've been clean 6.5 years. I'm still busy with the 12 steps.
Yeah.
And the simple thing is one of the things is that you've got to write down all those people that you've harmed. Write it down and apologize to those people. But there was times that I couldn't remember what I did for 36 hours.
Yeah.
You know, then suddenly something dawns on me and goes, oh, geez, there's another name I've got to write down. So your recovery never stops. You know, recovery is an ongoing process. And it's as you start building and building a new life and realizing what you've done and how you've done it and how you react, you start reacting differently. So you're always on that road to recovery. And that, to me, that's a beautiful thing, because you've been given another chance. And that chance, other people can look at it and go, geez, like I was there. Or I'm nowhere near as bad, and he managed to get out of that, or she managed to get out of that. So I think it's always a great thing for other people to look at it and go, I mean, you think about guys like Charlie Sheen. I don't know if you watched the Charlie Sheen documentary. Yeah. You look and you go, like Belle was watching it with me. She's like, is this like watching your life in like, I'll see you, it's exactly what it feels like. And it's to think that you're that far down the road, to think, how did you not pick it up when you were there? You know, how did you still behave like such a reprobate?
I don't think you see it though.
No, but you don't. But the amazing thing is when you're out of it, then you can look back at it and it's like, you know, you're looking at it from an aerial point of view and you just go like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Yeah.
And that to me is beautiful because other people can see how far down the road you were and you were able to turn it around. And, you know, like go back to Erin, there you've got somebody who, she wasn't born with a stump.
Yeah.
She was born fully able-bodied. A whole lot of things led to her losing her legs, some, you know, wrong decisions from doctors, that type of stuff. She's not bitter about it.
Yeah.
She turns around, she goes, hey, I've got an opportunity to go and do something. I'm going to go and do high rocks.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do an adaptive. I'm going to do the full flipping thing.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that is just so incredibly motivating for other people. And if I hadn't have done the stuff that I did, I would never have been at High Rocks yesterday. I would never have met you. I would never have met May. So everything happens for a reason. And you might not like the reason right there and then, but somewhere down the line, you're going to go, fuck, that's why.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty, is that every day we're learning something beautiful.
You know, in a weird way, what you went through, you know, it's given the world a gift. Because the amount of stuff you do out there to help other people, you wouldn't have been that person. No,
100%. So, and again, it all boils down to being exactly where you're supposed to be right now. And it sounds like you're repetitive and you're doing the same. I'm saying the same thing, but that's exactly it. Because people question so many things, and there's nothing wrong with questioning things. But it's also, you know, there's also the definition of stupidity, and that's, you know, doing the same thing and expecting different results.
Yeah.
So if you wake up every day and you go, I hate my job, I hate my marriage, I hate my relationship, I hate this, well, China, it's only your fault.
Yeah.
If you don't fix it and don't change it and do something about it, then you deserve to be there. So it's very easy to feel woe is me, but it's also very easy to change. You've just got to be brave enough to do it.
What you're doing now, do you think it's redemption or do you think it's progress?
I think it's a bit of both. Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think, you know, Redemption Song's one of Bob's big songs, one of like a great favorite. And I think the words from Redemption Song are very powerful. But redemption is progress, and progress is redemption. So they align with each other. So it's definitely a bit of both.
Do you ever look back at, let's say you spoke earlier, bumped into someone you haven't seen for a long time. Do you ever get embarrassed of, shit, what did I do back then? Or last time I saw that person? Or do you just like laugh it off?
No, dude, I promise you, there are so, you know, that's the one thing about, like, which I disagree strongly with, is that when you go into rehab, they say don't embellish those moments. And I'm going, bullshit. Embellish them, because you actually realize how far gone you were that you were doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, how bad was I that that's what I could have done? Like, I was really such an absolute rubbish. I mean, so, you know, I love the embellishment of the stories. I think they need to be spoken about as opposed to not spoken about, because you realize how far out of your tree you were that's what you were capable of.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember a story. I'd met at a Friday lunch for lunch with some mates, and I was on my motorbike, and I woke up in the morning, and I didn't have my motorbike, and so I was at home, and I didn't know how I got home.
Or where your bike was.
Or where my bike was. So I started phoning around and asking. Long story, I eventually got my motorbike. I got picked up the Sunday morning for the Germiston Kelly's race. So I'd sent a WhatsApp to my one mate, and I'd said, yo, thanks so much for taking me home. I appreciate it. And I didn't get a reply. And so then he picked us up the next morning for the race. I said, yes, you're a bastard. I shouldn't even send you a message, say thank you, you know, for taking me home. He said, but I don't know what to reply. I didn't take you home. So it was another mate of mine who took me home. So it's like, it's stuff like that where you just think, like, what was I thinking? And it's like,
It's funny, but it's not funny.
Exactly. So you need to remember that sort of thing. And it's things like driving my girls home drunk from Sun City the one Sunday after having been there for the weekend for an event and that. And mates saying, don't drive. And, Tanika had to physically grab the wheel twice because I'd fallen asleep at the wheel. Now how bad are you that's what happened? But how cool is it that she works for us? I work with her every single day and she loves me.
Yeah.
Like, that's beautiful, dude. I don't know if I'd have the same relationship if I'd been a goody two-shoes growing up with her. Maybe I wouldn't have had the same relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe I wouldn't have had the same relationship if my wife hadn't have passed away. Then I wouldn't have met Belle. So, it's like, reasons and seasons. It's all supposed to happen.
I mean, did you ever get a chance to grieve when your wife at the time passed?
No, I didn't. I didn't. And I'll tell you what I did do is I went on an ayahuasca weekend a good few years later. And just to show you how the wheel turns, so Belle, her ex-brother-in-law, paid for an ayahuasca weekend for me to go away, with him.
Yeah.
So that I could learn to let stuff go. And that was the very first time that I let go of what happened with Mel. And it was the most incredible 3 or 4 days. I actually can't remember how many days it was. But it was the most incredible time. And it was the first time that I'd actually cried. So I generally don't cry. I cry like when we win World Cups. It's
sporting movies, touchdown pass.
That's pretty much the only time. It's like, it's terrible. Like, my girls look at me like, Dad, what's wrong with you? You don't cry when someone dies, but you cry in a movie or you cry in a sports thing. So, there was probably extremely cathartic. Just being able to go and do that and being in that position of being so vulnerable. And it's an amazing thing because it didn't come from, direct family. It came from, Belle's side. So if I hadn't met Belle, I would never have had that grieving process.
Just in closing, what does your family mean to you now? And what do you want your legacy to be in their eyes?
So, Cam, honestly, I don't have a relationship with my mom. It's very strained. Funny enough, I have a better relationship with my dad, but that's also very strained. My sister and my brother-in-law, we all very close. And then our kids are very close. Legacy, again, I think if I just, I don't like that term. I think it's more about, go back to what I said earlier, is if they would pick me again over anyone else, then I think I've done a good job. That's pretty much what I would want to be at.
Well, Rich, I'm very proud of you, and it's been great getting to know you the last couple of years. And I think we've got lots of work to do the next couple coming up.
Lots to do.
And thank you so much for being on the show.
Cam, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Thank you.